Hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to Four Lads One Red Card, your favorite podcast. And it's already the 17th edition of this podcast. I'm, of course, joined by my three usual lads, Jotis, Darren, Alex. How are you, boys? You're good?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're doing
pretty
fine.
fine.
Yeah,
Great.
not
That's
bad.
that's the good news. Yeah, okay. We're gonna talk about lots of subjects today, so maybe we're gonna be good in a good mood, and then maybe in a bad mood. We'll see. But yeah, just before we begin, guys, once again, don't forget to support us on social medias, to follow us, put a like, comment, share our content. It's really important for us. So thank you for that. And friends, we're going to start right now with the hot news of the last few days, which is the final standings of the Champions League league phase, league stage. I don't know how to say it. But we talked about this last match day last week, of course, and we can say that a lot of unexpected things and surprises happened. First of all, there are many surprises, as I said in this ranking, starting with PSG and Real Madrid dropping out of the top eight for some of them at the last seconds of this day, which means playoffs for both teams. Jotis, I'd like, of course, to start with you. We saw a crazy game between Benfica and Real Madrid, and those two teams will meet once again in the playoffs. But for now, we're going to talk about that game 4-2 for Benfica at the last second. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this difficult defeat and, of course, your feelings after this match.
Real Madrid getting knocked out of the not knocked out, but Real Madrid getting not getting through the knockout, not getting through to the knockout phase in the group stage by Benfica in 2026 was definitely not something that I was expecting, and by a team coached by Jose Mourinho. So that was quite the drama, and they went on to qualify for the playoffs as well. Yeah, I mean it looked like at one point it looked like we're gonna go through and still make the knockout rounds easily, but it just wasn't to be. And then yeah, it was a night when things just went wrong. Red cards, yeah, goals from the last minute. I mean, the game was like, for a neutral fan, it was absolute drama. It was like complete entertainer for the game, but a Real Madrid fan, no, not very much. So
Yeah, I can bet. You remember, guys, all of us except one predicted that Real Madrid would win and qualify for this top eight. But I remember someone here that in September, at the very start of the season, that predicted that Real Madrid won't be into this top eight in this Champions League. Alex, I can say congratulations for your prediction. You're a wizard, or I don't know what you are, but you predicted that Real Madrid won't be into this top eight. Did you felt surprised when you saw the score sheet after this game or not?
I mean, when you look at it, yeah, it's a surprise. But if you look into the match, like at a deeper level, and you see the current state of Real Madrid, currently coached by Arbeloa, after sacking a better manager who has Arbeloa coached before, right? Okay. This is what happens when you give too much power to some spoiled kids who are not as good as they even think they are. Yeah. My only like regret is that I didn't put my money on this prediction that Real Madrid won't finish in the top eight. But yeah,
That's
I'm
true.
proud
And
of myself.
imagine the amount of money you would earn before, like in September, but even before the game, because Real Madrid
Yeah,
before the game
exactly.
was third in the table, and they went on the ninth place, so the worst place maybe in this competition, because you are just below the top eight. Another unpleasant surprise also came from PSG, who could only manage a draw against Newcastle. We said last week that this game was going to be hard for PSG, but we all thought that PSG would qualify into this top eight. That was not the case. And so this poor result has left PSG in the 7th place in the table. Honestly, I'm pretty fed up with PSG recent results. The team's current level of play is not really enthusiastic, to be honest. We can all agree that this is not the PSG of the last season that we saw and that we watched. And given the matches that await the club after the playoffs, if they win the playoffs against Monaco, it may be difficult for PSG to come back in the final, because they will fight against Barcelona or Chelsea. Alex, you wanted to add something on that?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, one thing that like pretty much sums up the difference between this PSG and the PSG of last season is the goalkeeper situation. They sold Donnarumma to sign
Yeah.
Chevalier because arguably he's a better keeper with the ball, But right now, Safonov has taken Chevalier's spot in the in goal. So yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, that's a situation that I've been talking since the beginning of the season, that the transfer window, the summer transfer window of PSG was too poor and was not effective and efficient. When you watch Chevalier, you mentioned the situation, he's not playing all the games, and even Zabarni, we paid almost 60 million euros on this defender, and to be honest, I think I can defend well better than him for now. So that's one of the major points of PSG situation right now. Guys, as I recall, many of you, me included, predicted that PSG would finish first in this league phase at the beginning of the season, or at least in this top 8 easily. Darren, are you disappointed with PSG recently? And from now, what are your predictions for the rest of the club season?
Well, I'm a bit disappointed from PSG because I thought they were going to do so much better. I mean, when you look in overall, except for some specific positions, the team's integrity didn't change too much. I mean, there weren't too many transfers happening in PSG. So, I mean, structurally, the backbone of the team, the backbone of that Champions League winner team is still the same. So I was expecting a much better performance, but I still believe it's not a big deal because even last year I remember PSG was not in top 8 if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you remember correctly.
Even after this January period, even after this in the second half of the season, I think PSG can still make a comeback and regain that dominant power, dominant play style that they had last year.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But yeah, to be honest, I think there are a few different cases that mixed up and that made this PSG situation. Also, the fact that they're not so good in big games. We remember the game against Bayern Munich. We remember the game against Sporting Lisbon, where they lost at the last minutes. That was a really important result for PSG, and they lost 3 points. But also in the league, we're going to talk about that a bit later. But yeah, we'll see what will happen with PSG. Guys, on the positive surprises side, we can mention, of course, Tottenham and Sporting that are in this top 8. That's quite impressive. Alex, are you surprised to see these two teams so high in the rankings this year?
I'm definitely surprised by Tottenham to see them so high up because they are not having the best season domestically. And it's pretty surprising that they have actually managed to be competitive in the Champions League. As far as Sporting, I mean, I think we are all used to these Portuguese sides, Sporting, Benfica, and Porto, always producing this kind of results in the Champions League. And I think it's very well deserved for them.
Yeah, well deserved. Justice, I'm talking to you because we're kind of in the same situation. Our club isn't in this top 8, and that's not a good result for us. When you see that Tottenham, for example, is in this top 8 and not Real Madrid, what do you think about that?
What do you think
Tottenham
of
is
Tottenham?
Tottenham just does Tottenham things, man. Tottenham won against Dortmund and qualified for the knockout rounds of the Champions League, and on the weekend they drew against 17th place Burnley, and then the next
Yeah.
week they equalized against Man City in the last minute.
Yeah.
It's the most Tottenham thing ever. So we'll just ignore that. And for us, for PSG and Real Madrid, you know what? League stage doesn't matter. I mean, last year PSG finished where in the league stage? Where was it? Like when the league stage was finished? I think
Yeah,
it was
15th.
20th.
In,
15. Yeah. So
Really?
yeah, during the last game, they were like 23rd, and then they came up at the 15th place or
Wow.
16th, maybe.
yeah.
I mean, I
So
remember they were
yeah,
out of top 8, but 15 is a bit too much. Wow, I didn't know that.
Mhm.
like league stage doesn't matter. Like who's at the top of the table? Arsenal. That tells you all you need to know about how serious is the group stage. I mean the league stage. So yeah, we're gonna be fine.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hope. Yeah. Well, Darren, to answer you're right that last season PSG struggled to even qualify in the playoffs. If you remember, guys, before the games against Manchester City, which was on the match day 7, great game of PSG. PSG was not qualified for the playoff, and they needed to win both games to qualify. And at that time, we were like, just we will never beat Man City. We will never play enough to beat them. I think it was 2-0 for Man City at the halftime, and then magic happens. Luis Enrique was right, and then we qualify. Sometimes, as you said, Jotis, it depends. And on one game, you can make the difference and become European champions. Yeah, we'll see. Guys, I now like you to give your team a score out of 10 for this league phase, just to sum up a bit this league phase, those matches, and your team. I'll start by giving PSG 5 out of 10. It's a fairly neutral score, because overall I expected, of course, much more from the club. They got off to a great start with 3 consecutive wins, if I remember well, including the ones against Barcelona, which was a great victory. But then things took turns for the worse. First, there was the difficult home defeat against Bayern Munich. You remember the red card of Luis Diaz and all the what
Yeah.
happened during that game. So that dampened hopes a little. And then the poor results against Bilbao, 0-0, Sporting, the loss, and then Newcastle, the draw at home. So in the end, PSG finished with 14 points and 11th position, and it's far from expectations. So that leaves me with rather mixed feelings. So that's why I'm going to put a 5 out of 10. Just it's your turn. What grade would you give to Real Madrid for this league phase?
I would go for 5 as well, but I would just make it 6, just because some players have performed well, even though we haven't really achieved the result what we wanted. I mean, when we talk about top scorers, like Kylian Mbappe is still the top scorer in the stage. I mean, in the league so far, but the team overall hasn't delivered. I mean, it's Real Madrid. It's Champions League is our competition, and we haven't even made to the knockout rounds, which is an absolute embarrassment. But there's been a lot of things going on at the club, so yeah, I'm not really surprised. But yeah, I would give them a 6. Not
6.
great, but okay.
Therein, your turn. Galatasaray has qualified for the playoffs and will face Juventus, right?
Yeah, Juventus. Yes.
How would you rate your team for this league phase and the result?
Well, to be fair, I'm pretty happy with the result. I mean, 10 points and qualifying for the knockout stage, I mean, playoff stage. I
Yeah.
think it's fair. So I'm giving 7.5. The only thing that I can criticize is that loss against Union Saint-Gilloise at home. I think that was a bit embarrassment, because Union Saint-Gilloise were not performing really well in the Champions League this season, I believe. So we could have won that game, and maybe we could have gotten an easier fixture. So yeah, that's the only thing that I'm complaining about. But apart from that, I think it's been a good campaign. I mean, beating Liverpool at home, drawing against Atletico Madrid to secure the knockout stage. Even against Man City, I think I would say we did kind of okay when you take into account that the technical difference between Manchester City and Galatasaray. So I'm pretty happy with this campaign. So 7.5 for me.
Yeah, that's a good rate, of course, for Galatasaray. And you mentioned the victory against Liverpool. I think that also gave a lot of confidence for the players, for the coach, for everyone. So that's good victories when you beat such a great opponent like Liverpool. Of course, it gives you confidence. And so, yeah, well done to Galatasaray. Finally, Alex, Barca had its ups and downs, but ultimately managed to qualify for the top 8 in this league phase. What grade would you give to the Blaugranas for this season?
I think I will give them a 7 because they were disappointing in the games against Chelsea and PSG. In the PSG game, they were disappointing in the second half because they played all right in the first half. But yeah, it's a 7. I love the reaction of the team and how everything went on for Barcelona after that Chelsea defeat, because we know they went on to win every single La Liga game after the Classico loss and in the Champions League as well. Yeah, it's a 7. They need to step up against bigger opposition. That's my concern.
Yeah, you're right to say that, because you mentioned Chelsea, Barcelona. We can also talk about the defeat in the Classico in La Liga, even if Barcelona beat Real Madrid after in the Supercopa, etc. But you're right to mention that, because we were so used to see Barcelona performing so well against big opponents last season that we maybe missed that kind of, I don't know what, but they will maybe find it in the second part of the season. We'll see. Guys, a quick note about the playoffs that are going to be played in next February. First of all, I'd like to talk about the games that concerned us. We'll start with this Galatasaray against Juventus. Therein, I remember you saying that you preferred to play Juventus than Atletico Madrid because it was between those two, right? So yeah, do you feel happy with the draw, or still like it's gonna be a hard game? But how do you feel about this opponent?
I mean, when I compare it to Atletico Madrid, I kind of feel happy because I think Atletico Madrid for me is a tougher opponent than Juventus. But we should also take into account that Juventus is also a very, very strong team. I mean, they have really good players such as Kenan Yıldız from Turkish national team. He's amazing. He's a huge talent. So it's gonna be a really tough matchup. I also think that it's going to be tough because Juventus right now is in a better position than they were a couple of weeks or a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
The arrival of Spalletti really did have a positive impact in Juventus, I think. So that's a bit of a negative thing for Galatasaray. I think the first leg is going to be played in Istanbul. I'm hoping to go to that game if I can find a ticket. We'll see how it goes, but I think we have a chance. I mean, it could have been a worse qualifying round if we had a tougher opponent, but I think we have a chance if we stay strong in the defense. So we'll see how it goes.
I think you definitely have a chance, but you're right to mention that Juventus, since a few weeks, even months right now, are in their best form of this season. We know that they struggled at the start of this new season to get points and to win games. We remember all the draws they made during that season, but now they're in a more optimistic and positive form. We remember the result against Napoli when they beat them 3-0 in the Serie A. I think that's a huge victory for Juventus, who are now at the fourth position of the championship. So I think it's a good thing for them because they're in a way more shape than previously. But as now they're competing, maybe not for the title, but for the highest spots in the league, they may be quite fed up to gain results and also all those things in Galatasaray. So maybe Galatasaray can capitalize on that, you know?
Definitely, definitely. And also, one more thing that I want to add, I forgot to mention, is that the fixtures are also really important because you play Champions League in between your league games. So I just want to quickly mention Juventus' fixture because I think this is going to be a downside for them. So they're going to play a Coppa Italia game against Atalanta this week, 2 days later.
Yeah.
And then 3 days after that, they are going to play against Lazio at home. And then after that, week after that, they're going to play against Inter at away. And then they're going to play against Galatasaray away. And then at home against Como. And then again Galatasaray. And then Roma away game. So this is a hell of a fixture for Juventus. So they're definitely going to be tired, I'm pretty sure. But I don't want to like jinx it by saying this. So this is maybe a positive side for Galatasaray to take into account because they're going to play very tired from the league fixtures.
Yeah, really tough opponents in the league, in the cup, and then in the Champions League. So yeah, really exciting games to come. Another one is, of course, that rematch Benfica against Real Madrid. We are gonna have two in less than 1 week. Like, of course, before that game last week, if we have to predict that game, of course, we will all say that Real Madrid is gonna destroy Benfica. But now we can have some doubts. Jotis, you're of course a huge Real Madrid fan. Do you have doubts or not?
Don't have doubts because this is, I mean, previously, because, it's league phase, so teams do get a bit slacky. But this one, yeah, you have to win it. You have to, get through the line to make it to the knockout stage. Real Madrid can't, get knocked out in the group stage. That's unbelievable. So yeah, I think it's the team knows that. Team knows the importance of this game, and then yeah, we're gonna.
Do you think that those two games against Benfica will maybe the occasion? Because I see those playoffs for big teams like Real Madrid, like PSG, even Atletico Madrid, even Inter Milan, kind of tests to try to improve in some ways before playing the great games, round of 16 quarterfinals. So do you think Real Madrid has to maybe try new things during those games, or at the contrary, needs to be sure with their 11 players and their tactic? What do you think Arbeloa should do for those two encounters?
I mean, it's pretty easy, right? Like you can't be experimenting in a game like that because getting knocked out would be catastrophic. So yeah, no fucking around, but just going in and then winning the game.
Yeah, well, because the opponent too is not the lowest one, to be honest. I don't want to talk bad about PSG's opponent, but I feel way more confident, of course, because PSG is playing against Monaco. I'm not saying Monaco isn't a good team, but we have the privilege to play against a team we know very well. We're used to play them each year. We remember also last season we played against Brest in the playoffs. and we beat them 3-0 and then 6-0. So I'm not
10
saying
on
that we
aggregate.
will. Yeah, so I'm not saying that we will do the same against Monaco, but I think for PSG, we had the choice between PSG and Karabakh, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I felt very happy to draw Monaco just because it avoid a really long trip to play against Karabakh. And we know that this team can be dangerous at any time. So that's a good thing for PSG. In my opinion, as I mentioned before, that's going to be a good test for PSG. Maybe for Luis Enrique to implement new things, new players, new tactics. We have a lot to lose, but to be honest, we have such a huge gap in comparison of Monaco that we can try to do things maybe during the first game, and then the return one, if we don't manage to win, we can like come back to the basis. But I think it's going to be interesting for PSG. And of course, I felt really disappointed with the result against Newcastle and the fact that we are not qualified directly in the round of 16. With PSG situation right now and the level of play, I think it's not a really bad news for PSG to play two matches more because it can give us and give them more confidence and more. I don't know. I hope it's going to be the solution for Luis Enrique at that time against Monaco. Guys, except those three encounters, we have really interesting others. One, we have Dortmund against Atalanta. We have Karabakh against Newcastle. Bruges, which is playing against Atletico Madrid. Also, Bodo Glimt against Inter Milan and Olympiacos against Bayer Leverkusen. Alex, is there a game that you are excited to see, or maybe a surprise that you are seeing in those playoffs?
I see Bodo Glimt making it to the round of 16.
Okay, so Bodo Glimt win it and
Yeah.
Inter.
I mean, yeah, they play against Inter, the Romanian coach, but don't forget Bodo Glimt had to win their final league phase games to make it through the round of 16. And who did they beat? Manchester City and Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
So,
It's crazy. Yeah,
yeah.
they have a really good story. I think they were like second in the domestic league, and means in the second division in the domestic league, like a couple of years ago. And
Yeah, yeah.
now now they're about to make the knockout rounds.
They are not like very new to European football because last year they made it to the Europa League semifinals and they only lost to Spurs. And few years ago they smashed Mourinho
Mourinho.
when he was at Roma,
Yeah.
yeah, 6-1. And he lost twice to Bodo Glimt actually.
Yeah, in
He
Conference
Bodo
League, I
Glimt,
remember.
yeah, beat him also in Rome. So it was crazy. It was like
Yeah.
Bodo Glimt were his nemesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he took his revenge against Real Madrid years later. So that's the battle. Maybe a final then between Bodo Glimt and Real Madrid at the end. That can be a good scenario, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so you predict that Inter maybe knocked out by Bodo Glimt.
Yeah, I say there's a possibility.
A possibility, okay. There in Justice, is there another game you are exciting in, like maybe this Dortmund against Atalanta or Karabakh against Newcastle? Therein, do you think Karabakh can make the surprise and beat Newcastle in these playoffs, or do you think it's going to be too hard for them?
I mean, realistically, I think it's kind of over for Karabakh at this point because Newcastle is also a really, really tough opponent. I'm pretty sure that Karabakh will give everything they have to go on to the next stage, but I just feel like it won't be enough. They're going to lose it with a slight edge against Newcastle, I think. So it's a kind of a hard game. But another game that I'm looking forward is Club Brugge against Atletico Madrid. I also like this Club Brugge team a lot. I had the chance to watch a couple of games of Club Brugge this season, and I think they're playing really well in overall. And I truly believe that they can make a surprise and beat Atletico Madrid and knock them out of Champions League.
Yeah, I was about to ask Jotis also about that game because we all follow Atletico Madrid and what this team is doing. What do you think about Atletico this season in this Champions League, and do you think they can like battle against a team like Club Bruges, sorry, or do you think they're gonna make a huge comeback in the Champions League? What do you think?
Talking about Atletico Madrid, the first thing I want to mention is, do you guys see? I mean, of course, you guys saw Lookman signing for Atletico Madrid,
Yeah,
which was quite a
absolutely.
surprise because I wasn't really, that felt like it came out of nowhere.
I was actually following that whole transfer process really closely because Lukman was about to sign for a Turkish club Fenerbahce, and then Atletico
Yeah.
Madrid snatched the deal at the last second.
Yeah, so I feel like this would be, I mean, this would be not his debut game because I'm sure they're playing in La Liga before, but it would be his Champions League debut for Atletico Madrid. So that's going to be an interesting game. I think Atletico Madrid could easily make it to the knockout rounds, but then again, you never know with clubs like Club Brugge. So yeah, and it's an interesting game to see. But like Alex said, Bodo Glimt is one club I'll be watching out for.
Yeah, for sure. There are lots of interesting games in those playoffs, and I'll be supporting Club Brugge just because what they did to Marseille last week. They beat them 3-0, and then put on the screen congratulations for your qualification, and then at the last second Marseille was not qualified. So that was a huge
Really?
movie to watch.
Did they do
That,
that?
that yeah, but I'm not sure they did it on purpose. I think they were like really gentle to do that. Congratulations for the qualification. And then just 30 seconds later, Benfica scored and then Marseille
Oh
was out.
my
That was crazy.
God,
Yeah,
bro.
that was
Absolute
crazy.
cinema.
Man, I hope that Benfica goalkeeper doesn't go to Marseille any
For
time
real.
soon.
Yeah, for real. That was such a mess in Marseille. But I saw an image, and I think that's a thing that some teams are doing, and I don't like it at all. I can understand, but there was 3-0 for Club Brugge, but at that moment, Marseille was still qualified because they were 24th, I think. And then we saw that Marseille had like the last opportunity to score or to do something, and they just keep the ball, try to secure the result, and like you can't secure a 3-0 against Club Brugge in the Champions League. You know what I mean? Even
Yeah.
if you are qualified, you need to have something more, some ego, some things. And yeah, well, when you see the result at the end, you cannot be surprised because when you lose 3-0 against Club Brugge and you don't want to score a goal, not to be exposed, well, the result is there.
I think you talk
So
about really
yeah.
important stuff because I'm pretty sure Marseille players played the game in their head that night when they went to sleep. They were probably thinking, we shouldn't have kept the ball. We should have attacked. Maybe we could have found the
Correct.
goal, not getting knocked out. But choices and consequences, my friend.
Exactly. That's the thing. All right, guys, that was the Champions League bid review. We of course will talk about our European competition that are going on. Maybe next week we can talk a bit about Europa League because there were some interesting teams too. A shout out to Lyon that finished first in the table. That's good news for French football because for now 3 clubs in the Champions League, only 2 are qualified and not one in the top 8. So that's bad news for French football. But Lyon is still doing good. So we can talk about that maybe next week. It's going to be interesting. But for now, it's time to move on our top European leagues review. It's been quite long time that we have not talking about the whole top European leagues. Today we're going to start with the Premier League and the big matches coming up this weekend. First, let's talk about the team of the moment, Manchester United, who will be playing away at Tottenham. Therein, 3 consecutive wins for Manchester United. What can we expect from this match?
I've seen the game of Tottenham against Manchester City this weekend. I think it was Sunday. Yeah, I was watching Galatasaray's game and Man City Tottenham at the same time. And to be honest, even though Tottenham managed to draw 2-2 against Man City, I wasn't very impressed by Tottenham's game style. I think it was more of Man City's failure. I think it was more on that the result. I mean, so I don't think Tottenham has the capacity and the reaction level or the self-esteem to play very good and defeat Man United because Man United, I think they are right now in a kind of a good state compared to previous weeks. We talked about this also in our last episode as well, but I think Michael Carrick has done a fairly good job, all things considered. So I think Manchester United are going to be able to beat Tottenham in that game, in my opinion.
Yeah, we remember that this clash between Tottenham and United was the last Europa League Europa League season. But we can not say that it's the same teams at all because Tottenham, even if they struggle in the championship, qualified at fourth position in the top 8 in this Champions League. Manchester United is for now fourth in the league. Alex, do you think that this Manchester United side? I remember you saying last week that you think that United will not pursue this consecutive wins for all the season. That's sure. But about that game against Tottenham, do you think they're able to win once again against a big team?
Think they can beat Tottenham because You mentioned big teams and they are not playing a big team. But no, yeah, I think they can beat Tottenham. I'm still very, like, I stand on what I said last week that they won't keep on winning till the end of the season and they won't make it to the Champions League because the top four will be Arsenal, City, Aston Villa, and Liverpool.
Okay. So you stay on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
pretty much.
Interesting. Talking about Arsenal, we continue with another interesting match this weekend as Sunderland visit Arsenal. Justice, Sunderland was your surprise team at the start of the season, and they're doing quite well at the moment, sitting eighth in the Premier League. First of all, I want to know your opinion on Sunderland's season for now, and please tell me they will be able to hurt Arsenal this weekend, please.
I really hope so. It'd be an absolute delight if Sunderland is the one team that kind of that helps Arsenal bottle the title. So yeah, it'll be an absolute pleasure. I think, like you said, the season has been really good for Sunderland. They're eighth. I mean, we're a bit over halfway through the season, which, and it's a good position to be in. Season is still not over. I feel like my prediction was them finishing mid-table, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I stand by that. I think that's still gonna happen, which would be a massive achievement for them because they just got promoted to the league, and usually the clubs just go down or they just struggle so much, just stay in the league while Sunderland is doing amazing. Yeah, so but I really hope against Arsenal.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But you're right to say that you maintain your prediction because when you said that at the moment, we were like, okay, Sunderland just come from the second division, but they're in a good mood, in a good way. So maybe they can do things. They began really well. I remember that they began the season really well. And then, of course, after that, they had some bad results. But for now, after 24 games in the league, they're still at the eighth position. So that's great and a good prediction. I cannot say the same because I predicted Villarreal and Napoli in the top eight, and they're all knocked out from the Champions League. But good prediction for your side, Justice. Darren, yeah, you wanted to add something.
I just want to say the problem is not Arsenal not bottling. I'm pretty sure that Arsenal are going to lose points and they're going to try to bottle. The problem is Man City not being consistent enough, I think. I mean, I was thinking personally like couple weeks ago or a couple months ago that Man City will find a way to go through at the end of the season that they were going to be champions, but right now I'm almost pretty sure that it's not going to happen because I just don't feel like they have the right motivation. When I'm watching Manchester City players, it feels like they're trying to play the play style that their coach is trying to tell, like the classic Guardiola possession play style. But I feel like there's a lack of motivation. I'm not sure if it's because Man City has become champions so many times in the past years, or maybe they are focusing more on the Champions League instead of the Premier League. But yeah, I just feel like there's a lack of motivation, and not even not even in the old players that play in Man City, but also in the newcomers as well. For example, Semenyo. I mean, when he was in Bournemouth, he was one of the players that I was always praising throughout the season. But right now in Manchester City, I don't think he's contributing enough to the team as anticipated. So I don't know how they're gonna go on. But as I said, it's not Arsenal not bottling. It's Man City not getting the chances that they are given.
Yeah, you're giving me a great transition. Justice, yeah, tell us.
I just wanted to add something there. I mean, the Man United game, Benjamin Sesko scored. Finally, the guy was dead. The guy hadn't seen the guy for like a long time. Yeah, he just came out of nowhere and scored the winning goal, which was nice because there was a lot of hype around, him coming to Man United and like nothing really happened. And he has one of the best nicknames that not nickname but the
Ershesco.
name. Sesko, yeah, one of the best names fans have given. So nice.
Yeah, well, miracles happen, right? And Shestro won. Maybe the guy, the Manchester United fan, will cut his hair finally. I think it's gonna be a good thing for all of us because I can't stand him. I cannot watch him right now with
Oh
with
man.
those hair. I praise for Man United to win just because of that.
Can you imagine the routine to like keep that hair clean?
Oh my God.
I
Yeah,
personally
that's crazy. So yeah, I was saying that you gave me a great transition because we're gonna talk now about Man City. who are playing a string of big games at the moment. First was that disappointing draw against Tottenham last weekend 2-2, which was then dashed the club title's hopes, to be honest, because as you mentioned, even if Arsenal is losing some points, City is also losing some points. So at the end, Arsenal is still the favorite to win the title. We remember also that City will be playing the League Cup semi-final second leg against Newcastle tomorrow evening, and will be traveling to Anfield next Sunday. That's the big game of the weekend. Liverpool, Man City. Guys, I start by Alex. What are you expecting from that game between Liverpool and Man City next weekend?
I expect to see goals, and I expect to see the revenge from Liverpool because they lost horribly against City at the Etihad in the first day of in the first leg of the season. And yeah, I think they have a high morale after smashing Newcastle. Florian Wirtz will score 2 goals. Hear me
Florian Wirtz
out.
will score 2 goals. Okay, you're right to mention Florian Wirtz. We can also mention Hugo Ekitike, who is doing an
Yeah.
amazing season with Liverpool. Lots of goals, lots of implication in the club, and he found his true position. He's confident, and he's doing great things with Liverpool. So yeah, I'm betting also on a Ekitike goal. Maybe we'll see. Jotis, what's your expectation for this decisive match between Liverpool and Man City?
The thing is, I mean, I always hate on Liverpool, but recently they've been so bad, so I forgot to hate on them. I've just been hating on Arsenal. But yeah, I mean, I think Man City is going to win. Man City is winning that game because they need that win to keep the pressure on Arsenal. And if Pep has any intention of, like Darren said, like, they look like they're not motivated. But if Pep has any intention of winning this league, they have to win this game against Liverpool. So yeah, I'm rooting for Man City.
Yeah, you're right to say also that it's not just a game to win, but it's like really, really important for Man City to win to try to stay competitive for the title. Because imagine if Arsenal wins against Sunderland, and then Man City does not win against Liverpool. Therein, that game might be the gap between the really good and the optimism for Man City and the delusional and the end of this season, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, also one other thing is that, of course, Man City definitely needs to win in order to, as you said, hold on to the trophy, hold on to the title race. But also on the other hand, it's crucial for Liverpool as well because they are fighting for the Champions League spot, and right now they are at sixth position. So in order to reach that Champions League spot, they cannot lose more points anymore. So I'm expecting a draw from this game, maybe 1-1, maybe 2-2. I'm not sure, but one myth that I'm gonna say is that I think Gravenberch is going to score at this game.
Nice one. Before letting you talk, Jotis, I really love the Gravenberch hugging with Konate during the games against Newcastle. You saw when Konate was in tears after his father's death, and that's also why Liverpool, as the other teams, right? But you recognize great teams when all the players, even Alisson, came from his goal and then traveled the whole pitch to congratulate Konate after his goal. That was a very emotional sequence in that game. Yeah, that are things that we like to watch compared to some fights or some like you mentioned also. Therein about Saman Siman, really bad things that can happen in football, racism, fights between supporters, between players.
Yeah.
When we see those kind of situations, it's always good to see.
Yeah.
Justice, yeah, tell us.
Now, I just realized that Arsenal is playing Sunderland on Saturday, and then Man City game is on Sunday. So that would be a perfect weekend if Sunderland wins and Man City wins. Absolute pleasure.
And you know that you are going to pass two beautiful weekends because no, it's not during the weekend, it's during the week. But so Sunderland is playing at Arsenal, and then the 11th, so in 8 days they will be playing against Liverpool.
Oh, wow.
Brilliant. Come on, Sunderland, get it.
Perfect month of February for you before Real Madrid beating Benfica, maybe.
For sure.
We'll see. Yeah,
Or
we'll see.
getting knocked out.
I was expecting Alex to say something, of course, about that. Guys, let's move on to La Liga quickly. I just want your predictions for this weekend matches. We'll start with the leaders of FC Barcelona is hosting Mallorca. Alex, what's your prediction and what's your expectation for this match in La Liga for Barcelona?
My prediction is that Ferran Torres will have another horrendous performance. He'll score maybe 1 or 2 goals, but then miss 5 more clear-cut chances. So yeah, we will win probably 3-0, and Ferran Torres will have us on the edge of our seats.
Okay, yeah, Darren.
Can I just want to say one thing. I was just checking. Yeah, okay. The last game Barcelona won against Elche, right? 3-1. Okay. Do you guys know what's the expected goal statistic of Barcelona at that game?
Not
6,
us.
something like that.
It's
5.
644.
Yeah.
44.
They
I
only
don't know
scored
when was
3.
the last time that I've seen a team has expected goal about 5. I mean, not even 5, it's 644, which also proves your point, Alex, about how Ferran Torres misses so many chances because it's
Bro,
impossible to finish 3-1 in a 6 expected goal game.
I had a friend that bet on Lamine Yamal to have an assist, and Ferran Torres hit the post 3 times from Lamine's pass. He went crazy. He threw his phone on the floor, against the floor. It was crazy.
I feel bad for him. I mean, Ferran Torres, he's another level. I don't even have words
Yeah.
to explain him.
Yeah.
Yeah, how to call it, Mr. Expected Goals, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing to see that. But okay, so Barcelona will host Mallorca. Yeah, a good win for you, Alex, and maybe a goal from Mr. Expected Goals. Then Atletico Madrid will host Betis, clash between the third and the fifth placed team in the league, if I'm not mistaken. Therein, we saw and we talked about Lookman's recent signing for Atletico. Do you see Atletico winning that game, or perhaps a surprise from a Betis team?
I think Atletico Madrid is gonna win by a small margin. Maybe Lookman is gonna score. I think he's gonna play. He's probably gonna start. Maybe he's gonna score, but obviously Real Betis do not want to lose because they're also fighting for Champions League spot as well. So it's gonna be tough, but I think Atletico Madrid is gonna win by a very close margin.
Yeah, it's always the case because when we predict Atletico's results, it's always like small margin 1-0, 2-1. But
Yeah.
they have Griezmann, they have Sorloth, they have Julian Alvarez, they have now Ademola Lookman. They have such big attackers in their squad, but still manage to make with their 1-0 or 0-0 or just 2-1. That's crazy because that's the philosophy of this team. But we want Atletico Madrid to score goals and lots of goals now. It can change maybe it seems right. But yeah, interesting game. And we finish with this match between Valencia and Real Madrid. It's always a weird situation in those kind of games, especially at Valencia and especially against Real Madrid. We remember all the things that happened to Vinicius and all the things that happened during those games. Jotis, of course, a win is essential for Real Madrid this weekend, isn't it?
100%. I mean, if you want to keep the pressure on Barcelona, I mean, if Barcelona loses, that'd be great, and then we win, and then we're on top of the table.
And then you wake up.
But we really need to win to keep the pressure on Barcelona. I mean, they'll slip up eventually. That's 100%. So just to keep that pressure, so we can grab that opportunity when it happens.
Talking about Real Madrid, of course, Kylian Mbappe is scoring goals and goals and goals. But if you had to give another player's name that for you is doing a good season for Real Madrid, who would you say?
I would say Valverde. What did Alex say?
Mateo Lahoz.
Yeah, Alex.
What?
We know.
I would say Valverde. I mean, the guy always gives his 100% for the team. I feel like he's always the hardest working player in the team, but the results have not been kind to him. There has been some slip ups here and there, but I still feel like he's the second best player that we have currently.
Yeah, Alex, tell us.
Yeah, I mean, jokes aside, Valverde has been like criticized from like a very big part of the Madrid supporters, saying that he's not at the same level, that he was among the players that wanted Xabi gone. So I mean, it's crazy how people have turned against a player that has contributed massively to the Real Madrid success in the recent years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I totally agree with you, Alex, because it's too easy to speak about a player like Valverde because you don't want to speak about Bellingham, you don't want to speak about Vinicius, you don't want to speak about the other ones. But as you said, Valverde is maybe since 4 or 5 years one of the top 3 players of Real Madrid so far.
Yeah.
He's humble. He's the captain. He scored really important goals. We remember all those amazing free kicks, all those amazing shots he made during those past years. Also, you're right. In the 2022 UCL final, he was the one that gave the ball to Vinicius. So he was
Yeah,
the one that was like one of the heroes of Real Madrid during that game in Liverpool. Now, when you see supporters like talking about it against Valverde, you cannot do that because your team is doing a difficult season. So you have to hunt players to say this one is not good, this one is not, this one is not good. But I think Valverde is not the main
Yeah.
target to speak about, right?
He's the
You agree
backbone.
with that?
Definitely, he's the backbone of the team. He's probably the last one to attack, and I'm considering everyone in the team when I say this. He's literally the last one, even after, not even after the players, even after the board. He's literally the last one for me.
Yeah, you're right. I totally agree with that. Guys, okay, for Spain, we'll finish this European tour with France because the last big match of the weekend will be played in France with PSG hosting Olympique de Marseille for the French Classico, as we said in
Ooh.
France. It's an important match for both teams because they will be keen to win after their recent poor results. Of course, Marseille knocked out from the Champions League, but also PSG recent bad results. For my part, I hope PSG will do what it takes to beat Olympique de Marseille and plunge them even further into crisis. But especially after the defeat in the first set, because they beat us 1-0. It was during the Ballon d'Or ceremony. I remember that night. That was crazy because it's been like 10 years that Marseille haven't beaten us in the French league, and they made this result. So I'm sure PSG will try to make the maximum to beat them, and I hope they will. And I think it's extremely important for PSG to regain confidence by winning this match, even if it's not talking about the lead. Just to beat your principal opponent, your rival, is always really important. Therein, you can also say that when you play against Fenerbahce, for example. So yeah, it's a really important match. Alex, Therein, you're big League One fans now. I saw Darren watching us playing Friday night. I saw Alex, of course, commentating as a professional big games of Metz, Angers, huge teams of the French league. Guys, what's your take on this match? Are you excited? What are your prediction of this match? Darren, maybe we'll start with you.
I think PSG is definitely going to win because, as you said, they need that reaction. And this is the perfect chance to unite fans, the club, everyone together right before the knockout stage of Champions League. So I think this is a huge opportunity. And I'm pretty sure Luis Enrique knows that as well. So I'm expecting a dominant game from PSG and a great victory for you guys. Are you going to the game, by the way?
No, I'm in Madrid, but even if
True.
I was in Paris. The cost of the tickets in Paris are way too expensive. Yeah, I think it's gonna be better to watch it at home in my living room and pray for PSG to win. And yeah, you're right to mention something also for the confidence. I think it's also really important for the supporters to have a win because we saw that PSG supporters are always behind their team, always supportive, even if PSG loses against Sporting or against the lowest teams. And as a manager, you have also to give supporters things to eat. You know what I mean? So it's going to be important for us to have this victory. Alex, what are your thoughts on that game? Do you think Marseille can create a surprise?
I don't think so. Marseille are in a very big crisis. I think. I mean, even looking at their transfer business, so O'Reilly went back to Brighton. Angel Gomez was sent out of on loan. Robinho Vaz was a very good young player. He was sold to AS Roma. Their transfer business didn't make any sense, and De Zerbi is under huge pressure because they haven't been very good in the league either. Lens are doing much better and they have a way lower budget. Marseille have the second biggest budget in France after PSG. They have to do better. The expectations were high because they were second last year. De Zerbi as the coach. I saw something in the French press that the team is ready to implode. The explosion will come from the inside. So yeah,
That's a good
it's
one.
kind of like that kind of a crisis that it's difficult to get out. They won't get a
Well,
result against PSG.
it's like kind of always the case each February or March month, Marseille is in crisis. Then they travel to Roma or in another city to rest and to train. Then they win one or two games, and then they lose the games, and then the manager is sad. So I think we will see kind of the same situation. But you're right to mention the Zerbi, which is, we can say, a great coach, and he did well because he said in press conference that he wants to stay in Marseille, he wants to fight, and I think that's a good thing for them because they suffered from previous managers that leave the club without any explanations and things like that. So I think they count on him. And yeah, you're right to say that they have to do way better because for now they're third in the league, 7 points below Lens, and with the same points with Lyon, who are fourth. So imagine Marseille finishing fourth and not in the Champions League. That can be a big crisis. But yeah, we'll see Sunday night for this game. Guys, let's just quickly move on to the last segment of this podcast, which is, of course, the press review. I want just to talk about the transfer market, which is now over in most leagues. Yeah, they're in.
Just one thing I wanted to, I kept this for the press review because it's also about the transfer market.
Sure.
I don't know if you guys saw, but there has been some situation going on in the Saudi league transfers.
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo was also involved. So I just want to sum it, and there's also a connection of this to Turkish league as well. So Benzema was going to be transferred from Al Ittihad to Al Hilal, and Al Hilal are the biggest rivals of Al Nassr, which is the team of Cristiano Ronaldo. So he stated that he believes this is not fair, and the Saudi league is giving way more chances to Al Hilal in order for them to be champions. And he said this was not justice, so he was opposing this transfer. But I believe it still happened, even though Cristiano Ronaldo was against this. But this this process slowed down the transfer of Benzema going to Al Hilal, which affected other transfers and created a chain reaction that went all the way to Turkish league, to Fenerbahce. And I just want to explain that. It's because Fenerbahce striker Youssef El Nesiri was supposed to go to Al Ittihad after Benzema went to Al Hilal. But in order for him to go to Al Ittihad, Fenerbahce wanted to sign N'Golo Kante from Al Ittihad. So both of these deals are in the verge of being collapsed. I mean, they are already collapsed right now because Al Ittihad didn't submit the right documents in time because of this whole mess created by Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm not sure if there's still open talks or chances available for Kante to go to Fenerbahce and Nesiri to go to Al Ittihad. I think the transfer window in Saudi League is closed, so Al Ittihad will probably not gonna let Kante go. So this is just a huge mess that I wanted to hear also your opinion about this, because I don't think a player should be able to influence this much in transfer window.
Yeah, you're right to mention that. Alex, yeah, tell us.
I mean, can't you look at Joti smiling? He knows what I'm about to say about his idol being a crybaby and stating that football in Saudi is the future and Saudi league is better than the French league and it's easier to score in the Saudi league. And then he cries about a player being transferred to his rival. And he plays in a league in which all the big six teams are owned by the state. Like literally the Saudi state owns these six teams.
Yes.
You cannot even complain that it's not fair for you because it's not fair for the other teams as well, because while you are playing with great players and you have Mane on your side and Mr. Offside Inigo Martinez at the back, and when you are playing against Al Oklohud, for example, they have a camel worker going in the starting lineup. So yeah, it's Ronaldo is a crybaby and he should just retire before his legacy is done and dusted.
Yeah, especially when you earn 200 million euros a year, right? But Jotis, we have few seconds left. It's all yours. You can answer and you can tell whatever you want to Alex. We have few seconds left.
Honestly, I mean, my question is like, can actually a player influence a club's decision to buy or sign a player? That's my question. Like,
he has stocks from the Saudi league. He's literally a stakeholder in Saudi league.
First of all, it's absolutely mental. Yeah, no player should be influencing these transfers. So I can't really defend my goat anymore. That's the reality. But yeah, this is actually crazy. I mean, I saw someone saying this is like Real Madrid trying to block a transfer from Atletico Madrid to Barcelona.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is actually mental. Yes, I mean, honestly, like no player should be allowed to have a say in what the other club is, who the other club is buying. I mean, for his own club, yeah, maybe, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
unreal.
Well, but also the fault is under the clubs before, because you have the choice to listen or not to Cristiano Ronaldo,
True.
and they listen to him. So of course you cannot, like as Alex said, you're 41 years old, you earn 200 millions euros a year, you are one of the greatest players of all time. Why do you complain that Karim Benzema is playing for a team or another team? Like we of course we don't care about that, but if the club let that happen, I think Ronaldo has the right also to say whatever he wants, and if the club let him to do that, he has the right to do it. I remember in Paris when the players wanted to make decisions and wanted to do things, it was a huge mess, but the club let them to do that. So yeah, well, that's the case. Yeah, Alex, to conclude, tell us.
Yeah, I mean, even in Benzema's case, I don't know exactly what like did him.
Mhm.
I saw like some stuff that Al Ittihad like lied to him, like on the face or something. But by the way, he was earning like crazy amount of money as well. So I don't know in what crazy situation might Al Ittihad have put him for him to be complaining like that. And then Ronaldo started but you can understand, because guess what do Ronaldo and Benzema have in common?
What?
What?
They both played for Real Madrid. So
Really?
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, Jules, like I think it's up to the clubs. I mean, Ronaldo, obviously, players have opinions, but that shouldn't influence decisions. So yeah,
Mhm.
great.
Yeah, and well, when you earn that amount of money, even Karim Benzema, just take your money
And
and don't mess with anything, and then you will be playing. And if you don't want to play, don't play. Just take your money, and you will be in the in a good position.
exactly.
Well, guys, thank you very much. It's already the end of this 17th podcast. Thank you all for watching or listening to us on our various platforms. Once again, please feel free to follow us on social media, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, X. It's really important to us. Yes, so we'll be there next week, same time. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you as well.
Thank
See
you.
you,
Thank
everyone.
you. See you guys next week.
You
See you
guys.
guys. Bye bye.